Hey, guys, what do you think is hidden behind the iron curtains of North Korea? Today, I'm going to lift the veil of mystery on the Pleasure Battalion, one of the most unusual and possibly sinister units of the North Korean army. It's like someone took a thriller plot and made it a reality. These women live in a world that is so far from ours, it feels like fiction. And now we're going to take a peek into this world to understand if this is pleasure or a real trap. Get ready to be amazed. A story that will captivate you. A shocking confession from a defector. Yami Park, a 30-year-old defector from North Korea, revealed shocking details about the existence of the so-called Pleasure Squad, from which the country's leader Kim Jong-un selects 25 virgins each year, chosen in advance by his aides. This squad is also known as the Ruler's Joy. Yami Park herself had to go through the selection process several times, but she didn't meet the requirements due to her family situation. This squad is also known as the Ruler's Joy. Yami Park herself had to go through the selection process several times, but she didn't meet the requirements due to her family situation. She claims that the girls are chosen based on their appearance and political loyalty. Kim Jong-un's representatives visit schools and playgrounds, starting to be selected at the age of 13. As soon as they find a pretty girl, the first thing they check is her family and political status. Whose relatives have escaped from North Korea or have connections to South Korea or other countries. Park explained. Then there's a medical examination to confirm virginity. Only a few girls make it through such a strict selection. 3 groups of girls serve the dictator in different ways. One provides massage services, another performs songs and dances, and the third is meant for sexual relations. Every year, between $3.5 to $5 million is spent on purchasing lingerie for the Pleasure Squad, acquiring products from well-known European and American brands through intermediaries. Their job is to maintain sexual relations with the dictator and other men, acquiring products from well-known European and American brands through intermediaries. Their job is to maintain sexual relations with the dictator and other men. They learn to please these people. That's their main goal, Park added. The service life of these girls is limited. At 20 years old, they are sent into retirement. By offering certain privileges, they can choose a husband from among the government officials or the dictator's guards. But is that really the case? The Pleasure Squad, what do we know about it? During the reign of Kim Il-sung, the founder and eternal president of North Korea, a special unit known as the Kpumjo was formed, despite his death in 1994. In the late 1970s, when Kim Il-sung's influence was at its peak, he tasked his subordinates with finding the most beautiful and talented young women and girls across the country, to include them in the squad. Some of them became singers and dancers, while others served as maids. However, the most attractive among them were selected to play the role of entertaining women. For the country's top leadership, Kim Il-sung's grandson, Kim Jong-un, came to power in 2011. There are reports that he temporarily disbanded the Pleasure Squad. But since 2018, its activities have been restored. This information was provided by a source who fled to South Korea, a woman named Mi Han. According to her, there are currently about 2,000 women in the squad. Their age does not exceed 20 years. The first stage of selection is carried out by special officers and government officials. The selection criteria vary, from physical fitness to appearance. Each girl must have some kind of talent in the arts. After successfully passing the selection process, the newcomers undergo training. They all have to undergo intensive military training under the guidance of Special Forces officers. In this way, a versatile team is formed. The girls can both entertain the leader on stage and protect him in case of a threat. The 50 best and most beautiful members of the squad always accompany the leader of North Korea. The composition of this personal guard changes every 2 months. Kim Jong-un generously rewards his favorites. According to the sane defectors from North Korea, About $3 million is spent each year on clothing for the leader's personal bodyguards. The selection process in the Kipyumjo is very strict. Even parameters like height have strict limits. The girls can't be too tall. The maximum allowable height is 5 feet 3 inches, which aligns with Kim Jong-un's preferences. So it turns out that this is the personal guard of the North Korean leader with a set of additional functions. Whether it's good or bad, everyone decides for themselves. Well, if you really think about it, North Korea is a very unusual country in military ranks. North Korea bases its functioning on the ideology of Juche, which means relying on its own strength. The key principle of Juche is Sangun. The priority is the military. Military service is considered prestigious, and significant resources are allocated to maintain the armed forces. Almost all girls aged 17 to 20 are required to serve in the North Korean Army. Until 2015, military service for women was voluntary, but then, the country's leadership introduced mandatory conscription. Kim Jong-un. In 2003, he reduced the service terms for both men and women, from 13 to 10 years for men and from 10 to 7 years for women. Also, the minimum allowable height for female soldiers was lowered to 4 feet 7 inches in 2012. The draft into the army happens twice a year, in April and August. In the spring, high school graduates are drafted, and in the summer, older girls. Women in the army are less involved in military and drill training, but they actively participate in household duties, like cleaning the barracks and cooking. For many North Korean women, serving in the army becomes a social elevator. After completing their service, they get the chance to enroll in university, land a high-paying job, or make a good marriage. A few years ago, the British publication The Guardian and other foreign media published stories about Lee So-an, a defector from North Korea, who served in the army for 10 years. She claimed that the living conditions in the barracks are unbearable. The hardships of army life disrupt women's life cycles, and the girls suffer from hunger, beatings, and abuse. Personally, I'm not inclined to fully trust such stories, believing that defectors often exaggerate the negative. For example, many military units are made up entirely of women, which reduces the likelihood of rapes. Mixed units are mainly characteristic of elite divisions, where control over soldiers' behavior is significantly heightened. Women's rights in North Korea. Women of working age can choose their profession based on their desires and abilities. The state provides them with job guarantees. To support working women in cities, villages, and fishing communities, childcare centers have been established. Gardens, hospitals, and household service enterprises. This allows women to avoid difficulties in their work and family life. In workplaces where many women are employed, such facilities are mandatory. Creating conditions for raising children and developing their talents is also an important part of state policy. In this country, women are entitled to a number of benefits and privileges. Mothers with multiple children have the right to a reduced workday, receive monthly subsidies, and are given priority for housing. Pregnant women and those with infants are prohibited from doing heavy or harmful work. They can take maternity leave with full pay as a benefit. Mothers of multiple children are given the title Heroic Mother. They enjoy special privileges in society. On July 30th, 1946, a law on women's equality was adopted in North Korea. Since then, the women of North Korea have been on par with men. They participate in elections for people's power organs and in other aspects. Governance of the state. Women have the right to vote and to be elected. Regardless of their profession, financial status, education level, and so on. The country pays special attention to women in leadership roles. Many of them hold responsible positions in government bodies. In economic institutions, research institutes, educational organizations, medical facilities, and cultural establishments. And in other areas of life, social inequality, despite significant progress, full gender equality has not yet been achieved in North Korea. Preference is still given to sons over daughters. Women continue to do most, if not all, of the household chores, including making breakfast and dinner, while also working outside the home. Most women are employed in the light industry, where their wages are lower than those of men. Working in heavy industries. In the office, they usually hold positions as secretaries and other low-level workers. To ease the household labor for women, food enterprises were established, allowing families to buy ready-made meals for their needs. One of the most important tasks for women has become raising children in the spirit of communist values based on their own experiences. The division of gender roles is reinforced by the practice of separate education for boys and girls in elementary and middle schools. The educational programs for boys and girls also differ. Boys get more time for physical training, while girls focus on household skills. However, in the university system, women often choose fields like medicine, biology, foreign languages and literature, appearance and self-care. In North Korea, women are forced to follow strict rules regarding their appearance. The government has established an official dress code that prohibits bright makeup, high heels, trendy accessories, and products from well-known global brands. Exposed shoulders or stomach are also considered unacceptable. Although there used to be a ban on wearing pants, that restriction has now been lifted. A typical business outfit for a North Korean woman includes a three-piece suit with a skirt. Women often wear badges featuring images of former and current leaders of the country. The exception to the rule is joseonot, traditional clothing. It's similar to a sundress, made from bright, solid-colored fabric without any patterns. The shosenot is worn only on special occasions, like the birthdays of the great leaders. On such days, the streets of the city are filled with bright colors, pink, blue, and other pastel shades. In everyday life, women prefer modest and practical outfits in neutral shades. Cosmetic products made in North Korea are considered some of the best in the world. The most popular cosmetics brand in North Korea is Spring Scent. Contrary to what one might expect, the main product of this brand isn't perfume, but skincare cosmetics. The main component of cosmetic products is women. In addition, the formulas use a variety of ingredients that are also exclusively national and natural. Fitness centers in the capital of North Korea have become a place where people can step back from government restrictions a bit. There, women can wear bright sportswear, which is impossible in everyday life. Love, relationships, and marriage in North Korea. Women marry at 25, men at 27, visit Kim Il-sung Monument, take photos. Women can get married at 25, while men can marry at 27. After the official registration of the marriage at the municipality, the newlyweds go to pay their respects to the Kim Il-sung Monument, and then take commemorative photos in the park. Wedding ceremonies are modest and adhere to ancient traditions. After all, lavish celebrations are not encouraged in the country. Married women wear shorter hairstyles than unmarried ones. Despite the official ban on contraception, it is still smuggled into the country illegally. Many women use intrauterine devices. Since there are no sex education classes in schools, teenagers get information about it from their parents, brothers, sisters, and friends. These days, young people hang out at birthday parties, in parks, or in cozy corners of apartment buildings. According to traditional patriarchal norms, it's expected in Korean society that a wife should be obedient and support her husband, especially if he can't provide for the family. For this reason, many Korean women are looking for various ways to earn money, including illegal trade in imported goods. This business often thrives thanks to cooperation with corrupt government officials who share the profits with the women. It's noteworthy that about 80% of all business operations in the country are conducted outside the legal framework. State control over marital fidelity. In North Korea, there are special mechanisms in place to detect and punish marital infidelity, ensuring total control over citizens' personal relationships. The main role in this is played by systems of informants and public condemnation. As soon as the fact of infidelity becomes known, it is promptly recorded and reported to the relevant authorities. The subsequent investigation is conducted by a so-called people's group, an organization, similar to youth communist organizations or political unions. This collective assembly determines the degree of guilt of the offenders. Punishments for marital infidelity can include dismissal from work, demotion, or even public condemnation. It's this collective assembly that decides the degree of guilt of the offenders. The punishment for marital infidelity can include dismissal from work, demotion, or even public condemnation. However, the most important consequence is that the whole neighborhood finds out about the offense, turning a personal violation into a public disgrace. An interesting point is the existence of a so-called loophole for registering an overnight stay with the building manager. If citizens register for such a permit before 10 p.m., they can spend the night with anyone. And it won't be considered infidelity. These features demonstrate the authorities' desire to maintain at least the illusion of personal freedom, while simultaneously tightly controlling family and marital relationships. It's tough to verify information about North Korea, considering it's one of the most closed-off countries in the world. The lack of access to the internet and social media significantly limits the ability to get first-hand information. Tourists visiting the country may perceive what they see in different ways, and the stories of refugees are often colored by emotional experiences. Tourists visiting the country may perceive what they see in different ways, and the stories of refugees are often colored by emotional experiences, not always reflecting successful personal experiences, as well as substantial rewards from interested parties. I want to make you an offer that you can definitely trust. You have a unique opportunity to become part of our team. If you have video editing skills and can voice videos in Russian, English, and other languages, or write interesting scripts, we would be happy to work with you. Write to our Telegram bot. The link is in the description. And that's all for today. See you next time.